How's it going, friends? This is Andy coming to you again from here at my Daily Fun Club headquarters. And today is going to be real fun because we're doing another demo video. And this time we're going to talk more about Gensler. I just started working with Gensler this year. And I made a very quick and awesome friendship with Jeff Genzler. And became fascinated with his designs in his amplification systems. Just in particular, the bass array cabinets that are kind of some groundbreaking designs for bass guitar. And today we're going to talk about the 410-3 cabinet, which is what is sitting here right beside me. It's a 55-pound, 4-ohm, 1,000-watt 410 cabinet. But like all of the bass array cabinets, it's a two-way cab, meaning it has a high frequency section and low frequency section. The thing about the bass array cabs is that you have in the 410-3 you have 6 3-inch cone drivers that are in this array right down the center of the front of the cabinet. And that's an independent chamber that has kind of like a half moon shape behind it. So in that chamber is 6 coned high mid-range high frequency drivers. So to say they're just high frequency would be wrong. It's actually everything in the upper, everything from the mid-range and up is getting sent to these speakers. And then the low frequency information and low mid information is coming from the 410-inch speakers. But that's an overly simplified way to kind of explain it, because there's a crossover point that's very, very well thought out, and through a lot of experimentation, it's made absolutely perfect. And the result is that the cabinet sounds very musical. And what I say is all the frequencies are there. Everything is there. And nothing is lost. It's not starving for anything, and nothing is overbearing either. And that can be the trickiest part of making a really great and musical sounding bass cabinet, is that you want all the frequencies there. You don't want too much of something. You don't want too much high end, too much sizzle, too much harshness in the top end, and you don't want too much, you know, just muddy thunder down in the bottom. You want everything to be just equally and evenly represented, with tight, defined, focused low end, and clear, articulate, musical high end. And most importantly, the mid-range area needs to be very clear and audible, because that's the place where the majority of the sound is actually heard, you know what I mean, within the mid-range. So I'm starting off with a vintage P bass. It's completely passive. It has the Nordstrand NP4 vintage correct pickup in it. Other than that, it's a stock Fender, vintage Fender bass with round wound strings on it that are kind of halfway played out. My experience so far with the bass array cabinets from Gensler, I have the 12-3. I have the 12-3, 2 of them sitting right over here. And I've used them on several gigs. This cabinet I just got yesterday, so it has not gone on any gigs with me. But my experience so far with the bass array cabinets is there's a dispersion factor. And when I talk about dispersion, I'm talking about how the cabinet throws, how it introduces the sound into the entire performance space, okay? How it throws the sound out there. And there's a proximity factor that happens, and I know that most bass players will know what I'm talking about. when you're standing right in front of your amplifier, oftentimes, you know, you're 3 feet in front of your amp, there's this sweet spot, there's this bubble where everything's cool. But as soon as you move over to the right, if you're kind of in a band where you're performing and you're moving around the stage like me, all of a sudden, as soon as I move away from the direct shot of the amplifier, it starts to sound muffled, or it starts to get really overly big. The low end starts to get overly big and the high end starts to go away. And these are the kind of things that are important when it comes to dispersion, the way that the cabinet throws and fills a performance area. And the thing that I found about the Gensler cabinets that they do really, really well, that some other cabs definitely do not do, is that they disperse evenly. And when they disperse all the frequencies the same to everywhere all the time. You see what I'm saying? So I can go to the front lip of the stage, 8, 10 feet in front of my amplifier, hard stage, you know, hard stage right, hard stage left, whatever. And wherever I'm standing, I'm hearing the cabinet with the same, you know, the same sound quality, the same amount of high end, the same amount of clear defined mid-range, and the same amount of nice, you know, ballsy low end. It's going everywhere at the same time. And, you know, it's not just kind of like shooting straight off the stage. It's kind of like dispersing evenly. And, you know, I've said this in another video. You know, my wife was telling me, she's heard me play more than anybody. She was telling me that on the gig that she came out that I was playing through the Gensler rig, she's like, God, your bass sounds great. I could hear every single note you're playing. It sounds so clear and so clean. So that tells me, and she was sitting way, you know, 50, 60 feet back in the bar, and, you know, we weren't even using subs on the PA that night. So all she was hearing was coming off the stage. So, you know, that's an important factor. All of that is an important factor. And that's really the most impressive thing that I can say about the bass array cabinets, is that it's an ingenious design, and the way that it's crossed over, the way that it presents all the different frequencies equally and disperses them evenly is the thing that I find most impressive about them. Now let's switch to a 5-string bass, because I want to talk about a couple of other important factors. First of all, the fact that, you know, with a 5-string bass, obviously we're going much lower. And speaking specifically about the low-end performance and character and personality of this particular cabinet, it is really, really tight and focused with the pitch audibility. Is that a word, audibility? Well, I don't know if it is. I just made it up. But I can really hear defined pitch in the low register at loud volumes. Now, I can't show you with a loud volume now, but that was one of the first things that I tested it with yesterday. I cranked it up loud, and I started playing really low notes to see if I can really hear the pitch definition. And that's a super important factor of how focused and how well tuned speaker box is, because is how the low end, how focused and how articulate the pitch definition is in the super low notes. You know, and I'm a good person to test cabinets and to give things a run for their money, because you know, I play hard and I demand a lot from the rig. I also have the ability to know equipment's threshold, and you know, if I sense that a piece of equipment, a speaker, an amp, whatever, is in pain, then I can pull back. But you know, I can dig in as hard as I want. You know, that's digging in really, really hard. and everything still remains very musical and unlabored, and it's just kind of like got this stature, like I can handle anything that you want to throw at me. And that's the greatest place to be in as a bass player with your rig, because I think we all would agree that there's nothing more frustrating and nothing takes the wind out of our sails more than when we're in the moment, in the zone, and trying to dig and get to that place, that musical place, and dig into that deep groove, and then the amp just, you know, denies us. That is like, you know, it just makes you like, you know. But that, on the other hand, when the amp is doing it, when it's just killing it, it's just awesome. And when the speakers are just handling everything that you're dishing out to them, you feel invincible. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's an important factor, is to not under amp ourselves. You know what I mean? In this day and age, people have the tendency to want to go smaller and smaller and smaller and do less and less work and bring a smaller and smaller rig. And then, you're kind of, you run the risk of having too wimpy of a bass rig to feel right and do the job right. You know what I'm saying? So what I like about this is it's 55 pounds. It's a 410 that weighs 55 pounds. Now, back in the day when I first started playing 410 cabinets, in 80s, mid 80s, is SWR Goliath series cabinets. I think they were about 90 pounds, almost twice as much. So that's a big time difference in weight. You see what I'm saying? From what they used to be like. So whatever you preconceived notion of what you thought a 410 used to be like, this is not like that. I could pick it up with one arm. And the last thing I want to say before I go is that I like to play slap bass. And it's an important part. It's an important layer of my musicality, and so I've gotten used to cabinets with horns in them. I was an SWR endorser for many, many years and used them for many, many years. So that Goliath sound that kind of was the innovation of horn tweeters in 410 cabinets. It became part of what was my sound. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I always kept the horns turned way, 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 way down, about 20%. But nonetheless, I like that horn sound. I like having that high end there. That's not lost with the 3-inch cone drivers. There's plenty of that high end there. Just to be sure of that, sure that you know that. That if you're used to the horn cabinet or the tweeter cabinet sound, you're not going to be disappointed thinking that there's a lack of high end. This bass was built for me by Kerry Nordstrand. It has the power blade pickups in it. I mean the big J blade pickups in it. So, like I was saying, you can hear I'm slapping it. And that's one of the great, one of the most amazing slap bass tones, and really, really kind of clear, articulate, well-behaved high end that I've heard out of a bass cabinet. So that's about all I can say at this point. I think I've said a lot, and yeah, I just encourage you. These bass array cabinets are definitely something different, and they take things to a completely different level. It's not your run-of-the-mill bass cabinet by any stretch. They're very very well engineered and thought out, and it's a completely internally crossed over two-way system that absolutely just completely kicks ass. That's the best way for me to describe it. I've given you a lot of technical reasons, but when it comes down to it, that's all that really I'm after. You know what I'm saying? I'm after something that's going to do its job and do its job well. And Jeff has certainly created a very special and interesting design here. I'm not the only one who would agree. A lot of people are checking out the base array cabinets and everything that Jeff does, including the Magellan series head, and it's getting a lot of kind of like buzz around the base community for a good reason, and I'm just here kind of to back that up. So the last thing I'll say is I just encourage you to check it out. You know what I mean? Go check it out for yourself. And when you're there, when you're at the store or wherever the dealer or wherever you can have the opportunity to try the equipment, remember some of the things that I said about how the crossover point is and about how all the frequencies are heard, and move away from the speaker and to ask them to give you the longest cord they have, and move around in the store and get as far away from the cabinet as you can, and you know, see if the things that I'm telling you are actually true for you too. And I'm pretty sure they will be, you know, because that's how it's been for me, and I only speak from my experience. All right, friends, thanks for watching this video. Thanks for watching all the videos, and have a great day. Peace.